Today I finally get a day off of work and I'm going to be doing a little bit here and there on Arthur. I'm heading out to Fort Collins in about 2 weeks. We're going to go to a car show where we're going to visit our friend Ryan, who stopped by last year and was actually just here a few weeks ago to visit us again. And I need to get this guy back on the road. Now I'll catch you up on what's going on there, but first I really wanted to show off this XC, this V70 XC that I'm working on right now. It's got a couple of cool features. I really like that steering wheel. That's definitely something I wanted when I got my V70, but that's all right. Leather with the wood insert, pretty fancy. And these beige leather seats, considering that we live in one of the driest, hottest, most UV-istest states, these are actually holding up remarkably well. It's got a bunch of stuff it needs. Something to do with why the engine's not running. My guess is it still has that white label ETM, the electronic throttle module, so it needs a replacement. I've got a yellow label on the back, and we did pull one from a wrecked car at the junkyard. That's the best thing about wrecked cars, is you can assume that they were running and driving. So if you're getting engine parts from them, that's always a nice thing. I did try some bumper restore. Can you tell? On the right side, we've got the Turtle Wax Trim Restorer. It uses petroleum distillate, so it's basically a slimy, goopy petroleum product. On the left side, we have Mother's Back to Black, which I believe is all synthetic. The irony is that the Turtle Wax is actually absorbed into the plastic and it doesn't feel slick anymore, whereas the Mother's still has a little bit of a silicone feel to it. There's Back to Black. Over yonder, Trim Restorer. It's fun, you know, working at an auto parts store. I'm very tempted to just buy a lot of different products and try them all out at my own expense. Alright, so here's the issue with Arthur. He's being a very bad boy again. It all started with the fuel pump replacement. Alright, the car was running okay, but it was having fuel starvation at higher RPM. Didn't like that at all. So what I did is I replaced the fuel pump. This is a rebuilt OEM pump. It had a little longer lever that went inside of the motor there, and I was worried about how much it would pump, so I decided to try it anyways. I put it in and it ended up flooding the carburetor, so I thought, hey, maybe I need to address that carburetor issue as well. So I did. I bought a Redline Rebuild Kit. I put in a new valve, needle, and seat. I adjusted the float. It may have been out of adjustment a bit. And I also needed to regulate the pressure. As I called my carb shop, they said, hey, we've seen some of these mechanical pumps. They'll push out 30, 40 PSI sometimes. I was like, wow, all right, well, there's no regulation on there. So these Webers, they like to be between 2.5 and no more than 3 or 3.5. I'm seeing conflicting reports on the high, but I'm going to put it right at 2.5. So I got this fuel pressure regulator. The hose to it is a little messy. We were kind of working with what we had available just to get it running one night, and it seemed to be doing pretty good. It was right around 2, and it would go up to 4 if we let it. Took it out for a drive, and the hose, that lower coolant pipe there, this one here, where it goes into the engine, that decided to burst, and just a little gasket actually. So we parked the car, and it looks like I've still got a bit of a water drip. I'll find out where that's coming from. But I replaced the gasket yesterday. I took it out for a drive. I had some trouble starting because it was parked for maybe 2-3 weeks, so I thought, all right, maybe the gas has sort of made its way back into the lines, and so it needs a little help. And the pump was just pumping air, so I had to kind of use the good old-fashioned mouth suck trick to get it up to the filter, past the filter into the pump, and then send it on its way up to the engine. Alright, so I got the car running then. The AFRs were right around 13 at idle. That was pretty good. It ran fine. It still had a little typical hesitation stuff. You know, I'm blaming a lot of things, but mostly just having a downdraft on a side draft design. It shouldn't be as bad as it is, though. And when I say that, it's really not that bad. It's just more than I would like it to be. Alright, so the fuel pressure regulator yesterday, I couldn't even get it above 2 PSI. I was sitting at maybe 1.8, 1.9, and I loosened it all the way, and it was just not having it. These Webers, they really rely on a full fuel bowl. That's kind of a mouth twister, that's why I had to say it slowly. They need a lot of gas in that bowl to use it on demand whenever they're ready. Now the accelerator pump is also something you might want to check on your carburetors if you're having issues with acceleration. Jetting is also very important. My shop said, oh, your jets are fine, so there's that. I've compared it with some numbers from other 122 owners that put certain jets in their car. Of course, my elevation is a mile higher than anyone up in Portland, so there's that to take into consideration. So today, I got so fed up with the mechanical pump BS, so to speak, that I'm gonna make a nice little change. Here we have one of our universal electrical fuel pumps. The operating range is 2.5 to 4 psi. You need that low pressure, low psi for these carbureted applications. It comes with a little bit of hose. I believe this is a filter. Looks like one. And essentially you want to mount this somewhere safe under the car where it's going to be free from debris and will also stay cool and be close to the tank. It says no higher than 24 inches above the top of the tank. You don't want to work these pumps too hard. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to mount it somewhere between the rear axle and the gas tank, run the hoses up, stick my original filter up front, and we'll see how it does. I will use that regulator. It's been a real headache, so I'm just going to get to it and I'll show you when it's done. Okay, just finished. It's been, I don't know, 5 hours because I had to run all the way to the other side of town to get some wires from my parents' place and all that. Whew, it was just crazy. And everything's a mess because when I work in a hurry, it gets messy. But it's done, the car's running, I've got the pump installed, I'm gonna show you. Coming into the trunk, there's the wire for the pump. I still don't have any carpet in the trunk, it's all just painted black. That goes up in here, over the top of the car, down into the fuse box on the right. And then that fuse box goes into the ignition. It shares, I don't know what it's sharing. It's running right around 13.8, 13.9, 13.7. I like that, pulling about 15 to 16 inches of mercury on the vacuum gauge. I dialed in my fuel pressure at 2.75. Of course, as you're using it, the pressure lessens, but the fuel bowl stays full. More importantly, the fuel filter stays full. Remember, it used to do that before the pump started giving me weird erratic signals and going out on me. So, fan's on, it's cooling. I never quite got the sensor to work, but I have it there to keep the coolant from coming out. And I did also loop the mechanical pump so it's not going to run dry. Not the most beautiful thing, but it also keeps this glass filter out of the way. So there's that. A lot of cleaning to do, and it'll be ready for a show pretty soon. I also want to install some seat belts, but that's for tomorrow. I got a couple of things I want to do today. So there you have it, folks. Using the cheapo lifetime warranty pump that runs about 50 bucks, so you can have a healthy carbureted car. I'm going to go for a test drive, and hopefully all the things are going to work out really well. I'm still having overheating issues. See the temperature's all the way up there. This thing's the outlet of the radiator. It's sitting around 175. So man, one thing after another. I'm going to pull the thermostat. I'm wondering if my radiator is so thick that it's not actually drawing enough air, because the CFMs on those fans, I think it was like, it's rated at a 1-inch thick core. And I'm over here with like a, 3-inch, 3-core radiator, so it's pretty big. Maybe I should go to a skinny radiator instead. Solve some of that problem there. yeah. Oh well.